Welcome, welcome. If you're watching this is for you. Today's topic, our poetry is corrupted. Music labels are evil. Gonna connect these dots for you. Let me give you some background, some anecdotes, some history. We didn't always have schools. Schools are very recent. I think in America, school became mandatory in the 50s. The idea of public school, students sitting in a box getting taught how to live and lessons to learn and use in the world, that's super new. So let's say before 1800s, never existed, not a thing. Well, I won't say never. Maybe people had someone in the tribe who taught the children in tribal, indigenous type of living situations. But how do people learn? Where do we get our ideas from? Our culture, that keyword in this video, our conceptions of how to live, poetry, stories, things that we heard at night before we went to bed from our parents, things we talked about over the fire, over the campfire, over the dinner table. Stories are how we were taught to live. If you're from America, think of the Pledge of Allegiance. That is pretty scary looking back. 5 years old, to make you stand up, put your hand over your chest, pledge allegiance to America. Are you making an oath that you can't break? Who cares? I don't have to pledge allegiance to America. Do I want to do that? Did you give me time to think about it? But for the rest of my life, even if I don't think of that in the forefront, that's in like the back of my brain, like resonating. Like I pledged allegiance every day. Every day of kindergarten, I remember doing this. And some people say, I think it goes on till high school. I forget. I think it did happen in high school, but we didn't have to stand up and do the thing. So that is a poetry that lives in your mind and dictates how you live. If you were ever asked to be like a spy for another government or, do something crazy in the world, you would think, I have pledged allegiance. I have an allegiance. Taking this a bit deeper into how we're taught about like George Washington and them, the American Revolution, stand up against tyranny, being honorable. We see movies, we see things about, being like sacrificing yourself to save others. So maybe if we were in a situation where, oh, the elevator is about to fall and there has to be a last person to get out, one person might be eager to sacrifice themselves because they have this notion of honor. Where does that come from? How does that exist? The poetry, the stories that we were told, the things that we were taught growing up. So back before schools, this was all people had. The stories of the greats, the stories of Robin Hood. I don't even know the story of Robin Hood. So that's a bad example. But imagine just the tales of, David slaying Goliath, man slaying the dragon, saving the princess. If this is what you were raised talking about, like story time at night as a kid or a child, I don't like to say kid. When you go into business dealings as an adult, or you're raising a family, or you're dealing with friends, these are the notions that are going to make you think like, oh, I shouldn't be late. Or, I should keep my word. I should not take over advantage in this deal. I should try to be 50-50. Like those concepts from those stories of like the American Revolution, standing up for yourself, whatever is being taught to you through the sounds, the tones, the stories of your parents, that is going to make you live that way. If people grew up telling you corruption and steal money and take and hurt and take advantage, imagine that person in a business deal. They probably be like, how can I get 99% to your 1%? You get what I'm saying? Like, think of if we didn't grow up hearing about, standing up for ourselves, we might accept ourselves to getting paid low wages and being bullied and whatnot. But since we grew up in America, like home of the brave, land of the free, that might give us an extra boost in confidence and idealism when we come to dealing with things. So going back to that evil part, music is probably the peak of this poetry because it sounds good. It's omnipresent. It's everywhere. It runs the world. Everybody's eager listening to music. And the music we grew up on is totally evil. Point blank, period. Our poets, our musicians, those who can lead the culture, who can instill in us how we live the rest of our lives, are totally corrupted by music labels, by the industry, by money. Why in the heck do I have bars in my head right now about effing people's baby mamas, about gang banging, killing people, heartbreak? And I mean, heartbreak is a little wholesome because that's what people deal with. But how are you going to live your life when the music you grew up on was, you want to see some, I want to see some cash, keep them dollars coming, that's going to make me dance. That song was hot when I was like 14 or 15, something around there. What in the heck are 14-year-old girls going to think singing that song? What in the heck are 14-year-old guys going to think singing that song? And that's just one of the songs. It is stupid. It is absolutely idiotic to think we are somehow above those poems that we recited growing up. You can know that there's righteousness and religion and Christianity. Don't smoke, don't drink, and don't wait till you can know those things on one hand. But on the backhand, if all you're hearing is, I don't squash no beef, and let it bum me in this club, or we some head busters, knuck if you buck, you feel me? Or all of that harsh, violent, get rich or die trying, which kind of vibe with that idea, but many men wish death upon me, and in the club, in the club, in the club, in the club. No matter how much you know about wholesome religion things in the back of your mind, this poetry is more in the back of your mind. Every day I'm singing some rap song stuck in my head, and I'm not even big listening to rap that much anymore. So the poetry that we grew up on is scandalous. It's horrifying. It's like if you at the club and you see a guy with a girl and she looking your way, you gonna be thinking, I love your girl. I love your girl. Why is that a song? Why is the concept of touching another man's woman even cool? If a girl has kissed a guy, touched a guy in any way in like the last 40 days, I don't want none of that touch on me. You know what I'm saying? But it's like hard. I hit your girl and I did it without a condom. Like it's ooh, like that's cool. Or I killed somebody. Or you feel me? I had beef and I ain't squashed it. I went back and I got back. I slid the block and I spent the block. So now if you in the club and you see some guys you don't like, y'all both gonna be thinking, oh yeah, like I gotta spin the block. It's in your head. It's not in our heads like happy songs and enjoy life and squash the violence, increase the peace. That's not what's in our head. Our head is spin the block, spin it one more time. And I don't squash no beef and knuck if you buck. Like, oh, somebody looking at you in the club? Urgh. It's like we're being corrupted. We're being programmed. And that's why these artists, if you ask me, go the way they go sometimes. You see artists just disappear, like Roddy Ricch, I would say, is a good example. He had a great breakout album, totally went quiet. Not to say that I know why he did it, but all of these artists you see who just like Lauryn Hill, she came out with one album. I don't think she ever made another album. People start to see like they want me to corrupt the world. Like these labels, they know the effects of these songs. They know the effects of poetry. That is evident. If you do any thinking about it, it's clear. Like, oh, if we have them rapping about, and then what? Trap and music. Trap, stripping, strip club, make it rain. That's what's gonna push consumerism. That's gonna push sales. Oh, Louis Purse, buy your girl a Louis Purse, throw it in the bag. So when you go on a date, if you walk past the Louis, he a window shopper. You just window shopping. Oh, who gives a F? I don't need nothing but food. But you got me window shopper. I'm a window shopper, man. Corrupted. So you can definitely believe investment purposes, music labels and consumerism are one and the same. And if you don't believe that they're thinking about this, why are there radio ads? There's billions of dollars spent on radio ads till this day. They're saying people hearing things get influenced by what they hear. They're not spending money on something that doesn't work. That's a fact. So music labels could very easily say, we're not going to push any music if it talks about killing people. Drill music shouldn't be a thing. I love Chief Keef. Like a lot of artists who are drill artists, should not be a thing. Our young people should not be out here riding around with switches and clocks and how many bodies you got. It's unethical. It's insane. It's an atrocity. It's tragic. What type of business model would say, he's talking about killing people. Let me give him a record deal. Let me put millions of dollars into him furthering his message and glorifying it. Actually, I'm going to sign him to a 6-album deal. This could last a life. I'm going to sign him to a lifetime deal. I want him to do this for life, forever. Keep talking about how many people you shot. Please, forever. Yes. It's making us money and it's keeping things moving the way we want it to move. Any music will make money if it's good. Any music. And there is tons of good music out here that is not about effing people's women or gangbanging or selling trap and dope and getting high. Molly Percocet. Come on. The labels control. They're going to make the excuse, oh, this is what people like. People like whatever comes on the radio. If you blast enough money into a campaign behind any song, if that's the only music that exists, if that's the only music that's out there, that's what people are going to learn to party to. So could you believe that people would have liked rap like this at any point in history? It just became what was put out there and what was promoted and pounced on. Like, yes, let's get more of that. There was positive music at the same time. There's positive music right now. You don't see labels rushing to sign and promote the positive people. And you can invest at a loss. They could push it, get them on all the radio stations. People don't like to hear it. People want to turn it off, put his advertisements out there, put his music out there. But eventually, the next positive artist you'll make your return on. If that is just what the culture becomes. You, the music labels, are dictating the culture by what you allow to be put out. One can make the argument that people like what they like. And the tragic stories behind somebody like a drill rapper who has hurt people to make it in life because they were in a tough Hunger Games type lifestyle situation. You could argue that there are people in the underground who would just naturally get this music popular, who would naturally want to hear this artist's story, and who would naturally glorify or hype that up. But it wouldn't persist. And then let it stay underground. He don't have to be selling out arenas. He could just be performing at the little club, making his little 50,000 a show or whatever, and go home. The fact that labels are getting behind it, and then they be picking up artists that ain't even really doing it, but just talking about it. Or they'll go look for the next poet who they can corrupt and keep corrupted and keep going. So when these record labels are searching day and night, going through all the hoods that they can and taking our youth and signing them to outrageous deals that's going to last them the next 10 years, and they're expected to keep making this type of music, this ghetto, crazy, killer music, that life wouldn't last for anybody, what's the word, under normal circumstances. Anybody who was rapping about gangbanging, if they tasted success, they would be rapping about something different later. Success. You're not going to be rapping about hurting people for 10 years, because at what point did you stop hurting people? Or you going to die or go to jail, which is happening to people. You feel me? So those people would maybe gain some hype, get some sales from local communities who like that type of stuff, and then fade out and just live a normal life. That's cool. You know, you had your time, you shined. Or you could switch over, like, man, I'm making different music now because I tasted success. I want to turn back and tell people that they don't have to live like that, boom, 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 boom. Instead, labels are like, if you made gangbanging music and that sold you 1 million copies, you got to keep making gangbang music because we want to sell 2 million copies. We got to make more. We want to sell 4 million copies. You made drug trap music. How long would it make sense for anybody to make drug and trap music? You only going to be drugging and trapping one time to get to the music. Now you rich. The drugging and trapping music is over. They want you, go get on drugs so you can rap about lean now. Or rap about women and banging people's ladies. That's like, it's like, what more negative can we drive you toward for the next 10 albums so that you will push negativity? These labels are not interested in changing the narrative on how we live and what we listen to. You know, we go to the club and are literally partying to harsh, cold, shake, make money, spend money, throw money, kill people, hurt people. And that's it. That's what we club to. That's what we dance. That's what we grow up to. You know what I'm saying? Even I'm saying this corruption goes back. Like, our poets are meant to instill positivity in the culture. You know, no baby, no youth saw themselves growing up talking about selling drugs and doing drugs. Everybody would say no to drugs when we were 5. So if these poets realize that's what will make me money, that's what would be profitable, I'm going to rap about that, but that's just to make money. Then once you make the money, you naturally wouldn't want to rap about that anymore. You probably want to rap whatever baby you wanted to rap about, which is probably like stay in school, positive baby things, chase your dreams. But when you stuck in the label and they expecting you to make the same amount of sales, you can't just take a wild transition to positivity. That'll sink the label won't put out your album. They won't let you. They put a chokehold on artists. What they say, their publishing, and what they create, their masters, whatever. They cannot get on a song as a feature. They cannot put out an album and make money. So they're tied up, locked down. Can't even make money. This is their living. They're going to have to go get a job to make money. If they want to make music, it got to be whatever the label approves. So even going so far back as to, ooh, I'm so excited. She dancing real close. Why is there music about me getting excited while I'm getting a dance? You know, sexual music. Why is there music about that? That's corrupt. That's not healthy. That's not wholesome. That should be like some X-rated stuff you can only play in the bedroom, but that shouldn't be what we ride around in our cars listening to. That's just helping us think about that. And years ago, when there was opera and, you know, I mean, I guess you could say jazz, rhythm and blues, people who rapped about are poetic about, their pains, their struggles, but it was always supposed to be meaningful and help guide us to our light and more positive life. It was never supposed to be the hideous state that it is now. And if it wasn't for money and trying to maximize, what if you could say the labels weren't bad at first, but when they saw people gravitating to negativity, they overinvested in it because the potential money that it could make. They say that music labels and prisons are in cahoots because prisons weren't doing well. So if we could put out music getting people to go to prisons, they would invest in us and we could make some returns on that. That's a conspiracy. So I'm not verifying that, but I'm saying it's very clear that music labels are invested in negativity. That is a fact, and I just want to make a separate but similar point. When Drake was hot on the come up, he got so big because he was relatable. This was a light-skinned guy mixed from Toronto, from Canada, rapping about heartbreak and being the underdog. That's all Drake rapped about, period. Literally, heartbreak and being the underdog. And I was the biggest Drake fan. Like Comeback Season, So Far Gone, his first album, Thank Me Later. In those days, you couldn't, I was infatuated. This is the greatest man ever. Like Drake. And that's because people could all relate to heartbreak. These are genuine things. These are nice things. Being an underdog, everybody's an underdog at some point. So that's how Drake's popularity, I mean, he could have some other reasons why he skyrocketed, of course. He was from a TV show before, but the wholesome things are what got him big. Then he becomes big. Now he got to rap about being big. People don't relate to that as much. Now he got to rap about, drilling people. Like, what he say, like body bags and Louis bags. Come on, Drake. What happened to Marvin's Room? That's what we loved you. Marvin's Room shook the world. But no offense, if you gang bang now, gang bang. If you hurt people, hurt people. That's your business. But I'm saying Drake could have retired after Marvin's Room. Rich forever. But money and the music labels, like, no, we need more money. We need 10 more million sales. What else can you talk about? Got anybody you want to drill? Got any ladies you like? You got more heartbreak? Got your heart broke again? So I'm not saying his life wouldn't have necessitated him going in that direction, but the poetry that we live in now is foul. It is sincerely foul. I would dread my child growing up or getting into a fight because what was on their mind was some don't let slide type music. So if somebody bumped them walking down the street, they was thinking in their head, don't let slide. I'm weak if I let. Who cares? Our music is about slide, get back, to get back gang. Hey, somebody hurt somebody in your family, call the police. Feel me? What? You gotta go slide because your music said do it? So that is the point of this video. The poetry raises us. The poetry is what we sing in the back of our minds that helps us to live our lives, that influences our lives. It's a fact that it influences our lives. If you don't want to believe the extent that I'm saying, you got to give it that it influences. So It's a dang shame, a low down, dirty shame that our poets have been corrupted. And this is where we are with things. Can't get better. Just listen to better music. There's some very positive artists out here. There's instrumentals. You don't have to listen to the lyrics. You can listen to vibrations. But reclaim your soul. Stop listening to all this BS about sex and cheating on your girl and cheating back for women and twerking, showing off your body. Let all of that just fall, because that's definitely not what we was here for. Remember what you was here for. Definitely wasn't listening to Cardi B. I like Cardi B. She's pretty beautiful, and I like her rapping style. But we wasn't here for that. They in the life, 37. Went to the gym yesterday, today. Anything else new? Not necessarily. Went to the gym yesterday, today. Reading. Finished a book yesterday, I think. I started a new book, both. I'm about a bit way through that new book today. Enjoying that. Mr. Brandon Sanderson. More Brandon Sanderson. I'm reading everything he got. So if you want to know what I'm reading, that's that. I got some historical stuff that I'm reading too, just trying to sharpen my brain. Got a book on Alexander the Great, as he's called, reading about him. Never knew much about him. So let me see what all the fuss is about. Gonna read that. Do I have a heart to heart today? I did have something on my mind. I don't remember exactly what, but just keep pushing, y'all. When you know you're doing the positive thing and pushing in the right direction, you might get tired. Keep pushing. You might get obstacles. Keep pushing. You might not know if it's the right direction anymore. Keep pushing. Just do what you feel is right today. Do not get up any later. Do not let the alarm snooze. Do not miss a day. Do not work less. Work harder on a day when you feel like working less. I'm not saying you can't switch up the schedule and maybe if you study for 30 minutes, study for 15 minutes instead, whatever, you can do that, but never fall off. You're going in the right direction. Don't overthink it. Just be at peace knowing that you're doing the right things and push, no matter who's in your way or what's in your way. Push the program. See y'all next time.